Hello and welcome to Ketrick Builds. Today we're starting off a new series playing through Satisfactory. This is a game that I have played quite a bit over the years, but I have taken a break from it for a little while. Haven't really played much since Update 3, only just touched on some of the mechanics in Update 3, didn't really get a chance to play a lot. And with Update 4 coming out, I thought this would be a great opportunity to dive back in and check out all the new things that have come out. We will be running this series as kind of an informative Let's Play, I'll say, geared towards new players to Satisfactory or returning players like myself that just haven't played in a while and want to come up to speed on a lot of the changes in the game. We are going to start in the Northern Forest because this is right near what I think is one of the best starting points in the game for a factory. And then we are going to also skip the intro just because I want to jump right into playing the game. And the tutorial segment, while good for a new player, and if this is your very first time playing Satisfactory, I strongly recommend doing the intro. It's not that long and it'll walk you through the basic mechanics of the game, but we're gonna jump right in and get going here. All right, so we are here in the Northern Forest. It kind of starts you in a random spot, kind of around this general area. I am going to run down this hill here towards the road, and the spot that we want to go to for our starting base is kind of just at the end of this road. There's a lot of great resources in very close proximity to each other, and so I always like to start my games there. Now, along the way, I strongly recommend picking up as much biomass as you can. Biomass being things that we're going to be able to burn to create energy, so leaves, logs, any of that kind of stuff. We're going to get into how that all works here a little bit further down the road, but just a general recommendation for the early game. Anytime you're running around, grab as much leaves and logs as you can. So this small area that we're coming into here is the great starting point that I was mentioning, and the reason that I like this starting point so much is that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 iron nodes here, and iron is the base resource that you need to build pretty much everything in the game. We'll need absolutely insane amounts of iron, and all 4 of these are what's called a pure iron node. And so pure iron nodes are the best out of the different types of iron nodes. And nodes range in quality from impure to normal to pure. And so essentially they double at each additional level. So an impure node, at the early stages of the game is going to give me about 30 iron per minute, where a normal would give me 60, and a pure node is going to give me 120. And then those numbers are going to continue to double as I get access to better mining technology throughout the game. And so this is really an awesome place to start with 4 of those pure nodes right here. And then on top of that, I've got a pure lime node up here on top of this hill that we can get to by crossing this little bridge. Lime is a super important resource as well, because that's what we're going to need to be able to build all of our foundations. And then over here, I've got 2 pure copper nodes. Copper being the second core resource in the game, which you need to build things like wiring so that you can power all your machines and a bunch of other different things. And then also nearby, kind of back the way we came, there's some other good nodes like Caterium, which is a more of a late game type resource. And then over on the other side of this big hill, there's a few other nodes like coal and different things that we'll need for mid game to power our factory. But we don't need any of that stuff right now. We pretty much just need the iron and the copper to get going. And so we're going to go ahead and grab the rest of these leaves that we can around here so that we can start making some electricity here in just a moment. And the very first thing that we need to do is place our hub. And I like to place the hub kind of right over here in this little cubby. Keep it out of the way. This is not going to be likely where we have our permanent base, but this is a good spot for us to get started. And so we're going to place that down. Now this is the core structure that we need to do pretty much everything in the game. This is where all of our research and things are going to happen from. You can see we've got this little ship coming down to land on top of the hub. And so as we do our research, we're going to be able to get access to more buildings and essentially advance in the game. Now, on the back of the hub here, we have these 2 biomass burners, and this is what I was talking about earlier, where we're going to be able to put our leaves or our wood in here and burn it for fuel. However, since we're starting at tier 1, I'm pretty sure we have the ability to already make what is called biomass. And so this is your craft bench. If you've played through the tutorial section, it's going to walk you through how all this stuff works. So I'm not going to cover some of these base type of mechanics, but as we get into other things in the game, we'll definitely be going over them. But I strongly recommend, as soon as you have access to biomass, that you convert all of your materials into biomass before burning them, as it's way more efficient. You don't want to have to manually pick up all this stuff on a regular basis, so the more efficient we can make our biomass, the better, because that's going to keep us in the game longer and doing less micromanaging our power grid. Now, over on the other side here, we have the hub terminal, and this is where we're going to be able to do all of our research. And so you can see here all the tier 0 items. This is what was in the tutorial. These are all checked off, so I'm not going to go through those. But we're going to start here at tier 1, and we've got 3 research items available to us. We can do base building, which is going to give us foundations and the ability to really start creating our first factory. We've got logistics, which is going to allow us to create more advanced structures and really start laying things out in our factory in a more efficient way. And then we've got field research, which is going to unlock things for us, inventory slots, ability to have more items equipped, as well as the MAM, Molecular Analysis Machine. And this is going to allow us to do additional research and start unlocking other things in the game. And so this is probably one of the first things that I like to go to, just because it gives us the inventory slots for picking things up as we're kind of running our factory manually. And so I'm going to go ahead and select milestone here, and that's going to activate this milestone so that now we can start working on it. But I don't want to spend my resources on this just yet, because I need these resources to be able to build some basic factory items first that are going to allow us to get the rest of these resources and complete this objective. If I just jump back here, you'll see that we also have access to tier 2. We have the ability to start clearing obstacles, which I like to get this one very early on as well, because it gives us access to the chainsaw, which is going to make getting leaves and logs and stuff a lot quicker, as well as this solid biofuel, which is an even more efficient fuel to burn in our biogenerators, which is our early form of power. We won't gain access to the mid-game power until we get into tier 3, I believe, when we unlock the next tiers once we build the space elevator. We've picked field research as our starting technology, and so you can see in the upper right that it has a tracker for what materials we need to get, which in this case is copper wire, screws, and iron plates. So the very first thing we're going to do is come over here and open up one of these iron nodes, and to do that we have to mine out this rock that's sitting on top of it, and then we're going to come into our build menu here and fire up a miner Mark 1. And once that's built, getting to iron plates is really easy. We're just going to slap a smelter down in front of that, and then we're going to put a constructor in front of that, and this is going to allow us to turn the iron ore from the miner into iron ingots. And then once they're iron ingots, we're going to connect this machine to the constructor and construct iron plates, which is kind of the core first thing that we need to build. And so now that we've got these all hooked up, all we need is to figure out how to get some power to them. And so I'm going to push the 2 on my hotkey to get the power line going here. I'm going to highlight our miner, and it's automatically going to go to building a power pole from there. And what I want to do is put this pole right over here, and we're going to hook all 3 of these machines up to the same power pole. And that's going to allow us to now take this power line over to one of these biomass burners that we have on the back of our hub. And so now with all these hooked up, all we got to do is put some biomass into this particular biomass burner, and it's going to start creating electricity. And so with this thing now cranking out power, you can see that our machines have all come online and are starting to produce things. And so this particular miner is actually capable of putting out 120 per minute. but our belt only takes 60 items per minute, and the smelter is actually only taking 30 ore per minute in smelting. And so this is one of those reasons why we want to get into the logistics path and be able to get things like smart splitters and things like that, is to be able to utilize all the ore coming off of this node. For getting started, this is going to do the trick. And so now you can see we're getting iron plates here, and they're starting to stack up. So I'm going to just grab what's there and let this continue. And then while that continues, we're going to run down here and go open up the copper node here, because we are going to need some copper wire. And I'm staying away from this thing because once I go near it, a bunch of flying bugs are going to come out and start attacking me, and I'm just not quite ready to deal with that yet. And so we're going to come back and deal with that in just a little bit. And over here you can see we've got these berries. I'm going to pick those. They're you can eat them to heal yourself, but you can also use them in research. And so I always like to save the first ones that I get for research. And then here you can see that I just mined this little quartz node. And anytime you see a new resource sitting around that you don't recognize, that you haven't researched yet, I recommend grabbing it, because those are things that you're going to be able to research in the MAM once we build it. And here I am mining out the copper to get this node opened up. And then I'm going to open up our inventory. I'm going to toss one of these portable miners into my inventory. And we're going to step back up onto this node and toss that down. And what this is going to do is start mining copper ore, so that I don't have to sit here and hold my mouse button down to mine it. And so this is super handy. You can see it's already going pretty fast. Ore stacks, I think in stacks of 100. And so I'm just going to grab a little bit there so that we have it. And then I think this is going to be a limestone node. Yep, we're going to go ahead and mine it since we're here. But our next stop is actually to head over and mine the limestone node as well. Limestone is super important because it is what makes concrete. And concrete is a necessary material for building all of our essentially base building things. So foundations, where we're going to build our factories on top of, are all made out of concrete. There's also some other items in the game and different machines and stuff that require concrete, but really the core use for concrete, especially early game, is going to be building foundations for your factory. So as we come up here, you can see there's another one of these flying bug deals. So we're going to just try to avoid that and come over on this side of it. And I'm going to see if I can toss one of these miners down without going up there to open it up. It looks like I can. And so I'm actually going to toss 2 of these down up here, because getting limestone is going to be super critical to efficiently building our factory in the next stage, as well as I think we need it for one of the unlocks here. Handy tip, if you want a shortcut back to your base and you can be really careful, you can actually run right off the front of this and land on the bridge again without taking any damage. So we're gonna run back up here and take a look at this constructor. It should have been producing iron plates all this time, and so now we've got 76 iron plates added up, which is pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab that stack of plates, and then we're gonna go and check out one last little secret gem that I like about this starting point, which is if we go up kind of over this hill, and we can probably pick up a little bit more biomass material along the way, is that there is a crashed drop pod that should be right over here. Now, before we go down there, we want to make sure we're equipping our Xeno Zapper, which is our starting weapon here. And this crashed drop pod is super useful because it has lots of cool materials around here, which is going to speed up our early game research. But you got to be careful because there's these I don't even know what they're called, little beast guys here that they're gonna charge at you and do a significant amount of damage if they hit you. So it's always kind of tricky to avoid them. And it looks like he might have gotten stuck, which is good for us because I'm gonna take advantage of that and just take care of him. But the cool thing with these down to drop pod areas is, especially early game, you get some really cool materials. Like here's a box of screws, Here's some reinforced iron plates that we're gonna need to build some more advanced things. Here's a whole bunch of wire, and if we just kind of keep looking around, we can find, you know, some more items laying around this crashed drop pod site. And so we're just gonna kind of be careful, make sure we're checking behind the bushes apparently, and getting everything that's here. And then the other cool thing with these downed drop pods is the drop pod itself. And so if I try to open this drop pod, you can see I need an item to open this drop pod. And if I had that item, I would get a hard drive out of this drop pod. And that's going to allow me to unlock additional recipes in the game, alternate recipes, so that you can build things more efficiently. And so we'll have to come back later in the game as we don't have access to modular frames yet. And then as always, when you see something new, go pick it up. So in this case, this is a paleberry plant, and that's another good healing item early game. But I recommend saving them, as there's some research that you're going to need to do in the MAM to unlock things. And so you're going to need a good handful of these different items to do the research. And as always, I'm just picking up some more leaves and things to keep our factory running when we're back there again. It'll be super handy for the early game until we get coal unlocked and we can get coal power plants going. It's a lizard doggo. He's scared of us because we're not going to give him a berry right now. You can feed these little lizard guys berries, and they will befriend you, follow you around, give you cool things. But we're not going to do that just yet. Ooh, power slug. So power slugs are super useful as well, because once you do the research, you're going to be able to turn these into an item that will boost the efficiency of any building that you put them into. So we can boost the efficiency of miners or of other equipment to work faster, essentially, or produce more materials. So with that little side adventure done, we're going to come back in here and check the hub and see what kind of materials we still need. So I've got a ton of this copper wire, so we're gonna go ahead and move that over. I've got a ton of iron plates, so we're gonna go ahead and put that in there. And then we've got some screws, but I still need 90 additional screws. And so if we come over to the craft bench here, screws are made from iron rods, which I happen to have a whole bunch of. So we're gonna go ahead and just make the 90 screws that we need here manually real quick, so that we can get a little bit further down the tech tree, unlock some more things that are gonna help us out, and we'll be able to set up some more factories and automation here to start building some of these items for us automatically. So if we put these screws back into the hub here, we can launch this pod, and you'll notice right away in the upper right hand corner that the pod is going to be gone for 3 minutes. The ADA computer is going to pop up and tell you about all of the things that you just unlocked. We're going to skip out on that and just place it here. So the MAM is the new building that we got, and like I said before, this is going to let us do some research. And so I'm going to go ahead and put this down here right next to our hub, because we're going to need to keep coming back to this to do research items. And so if we open this up, you can see I've got all these different research trees. You can see that it requires a certain number of items. And so in this case, the alien carcasses that we got from killing those hog-scaled alien things, I really should know what they're called, but I don't. We're going to be able to do this research. This is a quick one. It only takes 3 seconds. We unlock something new, and so now we can do research on this next stage, which is going to unlock an additional biomass recipe, but we need 10 of those alien carapaces, so we've only got 1, so we won't be able to do that research right now. There's also alien organs that we'll be able to find at some point, so we'll keep an eye out for those. And then here, we've got one for flower petals, so we're going to go ahead and do the flower petal research, and that's going to unlock additional research here. We don't have all the items for that just yet, so we'll come back to that. And then as I mentioned, here's the one for the barrel nuts, so we need 5 of those. And then one for pale berries, we need a couple of those. Scanner. And then eventually we're going to find this other third item, which once we have all 3, will unlock this next path down. Power slugs, like I said, this is the one where we can get power shards to overclock our machines. And so we're going to go ahead and do that research real quick. And then you can see that we have some additional unlocks. One is we can unlock the ability to scan for slugs. And then there's also yellow slugs, and then I think there's also a
Milestone
purple
exchange
slug.
concluded. Fix-it freighter re-entry complete.
Ada's letting us know that our ship is back, so we can start unlocking another milestone. And then this is the last research I'll point out on the power slugs, is that we need to do this to actually be able to overclock our machines. We do have some quartz here, so we're going to go ahead and just fire off that research as well, which is going to unlock the ability to scan for more quartz. Quartz is something we'll need in the mid-game to build different items, so we don't really need to worry about it right now, but it's nice to have the research unlocked when you get the items, and then you don't have to think about it for a while. So with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump back into the hub and find an additional thing to research. So we've got logistics here, but before we get logistics, I think I want to unlock base building, and base building is going to let us start building our base in a more proper way. And so I'm going to go ahead and put the iron plates in there. I'm going to put what concrete we have in there, and we're going to make some more of these iron rods. And so the recipe for iron rods is essentially going to take iron ingots and turn them into iron rods. And so what I'm going to do is grab all these plates that we've made, and then I'm just going to switch this over to creating iron rods instead. And so we'll be able to get caught up with their iron rods here in just a moment. And while that's building those iron rods, we need to run over here and grab some of that limestone out of this portable miner that we put up here. And that limestone is going to allow us to create some concrete. And so again, we're going to be a little bit careful not awaken the bugs just yet until we're ready to build up here. Because once you build something near an area, then the bad guys and stuff won't spawn within so far of your base. So as we head back up here to the hub, we're going to put down another constructor, and this one's not going to be hooked up to anything at the moment because we're just going to use it to process our concrete while we're running around here. So we're going to make concrete, and we're going to make that from this limestone, and then all we need to do is we're going to put down a power pole, which I can't because we're missing concrete. I knew I shouldn't have put all my concrete in there. We're going to make a little bit of concrete by hand real quick just to allow us to move forward here. And then with the concrete in hand, we're going to grab power from this other biomass generator, put this pole here, and use that to power this constructor. Now, in order for that to work, I do actually have to put some biomass into the generator. So with that, this machine is now cranking out concrete, so we should be able to catch up with our needs for concrete here shortly. I'm going to go over here. We should have quite a few iron rods already created. Not quite to the 100 we need, but by the time this one and this one are done creating concrete, we should be good to go. With something like concrete, you can see we use 3 items per tick to make a piece of concrete, and we're going to be using this concrete up pretty fast. And so rather than having to run back here and fill this machine up every couple of minutes, we're going to actually put a storage container down on the either end of this. And so on the organization tab, we have this thing called a storage container, and you can hold down the left control key to kind of get it to snap. See these blue lines? We're going to snap it to the back of where this is, and then we're just going to connect this with a belt. And we can open this storage container now and put all of these limestone pieces in here, and it'll feed this constructor so that we can keep it full and keep generating concrete. Likewise, since we need more than 100 concrete here, which is the maximum stack size for most items, we're going to also come to the front side of this constructor, and we're going to put another one of these storage containers down, and we're going to open this up with a conveyor belt like so, and that's going to allow all of these items to come through this constructor and into the storage container. And so while this is not a great way to lay out a factory early game, it kind of makes sense to just do what you need to do to get the items going, so that we can unlock the things necessary to build a good normal factory. And so while these are going, I never like to sit idle. I don't like to waste time. We now have enough machines in the area, I think, that we will be able to take care of these 2 flying bug spawn things without having them respawn on us later. So I'm going to come over here and let these guys spawn, and you can see there are these annoying little bugs that fly around, and they're incredibly hard to hit with melee in this early part of the game. But once you do hit them the first time, they kind of fall over, so if you can be fast enough, you can take them out before they get back up. And they do kind of come after you, so if you're patient and aim pretty well, it's not too big of a deal to take them out. Just remember to go back to where that thing spawned and pick up the alien carapace that drops, because you're going to need those for research. And then we're just going to run over here and take care of the other one real quick. So since we've unlocked these 2 additional nodes, what we want to do next while our concrete is building is also set up a automation for another iron setup. And in order to do that, we need to build one more building, which is the equipment workshop. And we're going to put that one down right over here as well. And so here we're going to be able to build kind of the things that we can take around with us. And so this is, you know, kind of personal equipment. So these portable miners are necessary to build a miner. And I could go pick one of them up from like on top of the limestone node there, or the copper node, but we're going to leave those in place. It's easier to just build one. We're going to need to build a lot of miners over the course of this game. And so having a few extra isn't going to hurt us. And then we're going to just come over here, and just like our other setup, we're going to build a copy of that exactly and get the iron plates back up and running, because I think we're going to need a fair amount of iron plates here. This bush is causing me some problems. I can't wait to get the chainsaw unlocked. But we are going to need a fair amount of iron plates to keep everything running here. And so I think it makes sense to just go ahead and have both iron plates and iron rods running in parallel, even at this early stage. And so just like before, I'm going to create a power pole for these 3 machines. And this is not an efficient factory build, but what it does is kind of get us going, because we don't have the machines unlocked yet to build an efficient factory. And we're trying to unlock the things to just build floors for our factory. So until then, I strongly recommend not kind of overthinking things in the early game and just build what works. But try to keep it neat looking. I like putting things in lines like this. As we get into factory building next episode, you're going to see that I really like to try to keep things neat and modular so that you know what the purpose is for a section of a factory. So with that, we have enough concrete to finish off this objective, and so we're going to come in here and send this up. And so with this, we're going to be able to now build floors and start organizing the factory. If we come back in here, we do have to wait till the pod comes back to start the next research, but really we're going to need logistics before we can do the research that we need. But I do want to come in here and check on obstacle clearing. We don't really have most of those materials yet either, so we're going to let that go. We're going to select logistics as our next research. And while we wait for the pod to come back, the other thing that we really need to do is we're going to check on our power. We're doing pretty good from a power perspective. And so we're going to go over here and unlock the copper node, because to get to the next stage of the game, we're going to need a lot of wire and a lot of cable, which is made from wire. And so it's a pretty simple production line to set up. And we're going to need to take out these bugs in order to do it. And so with that, we're going to come in here. We're going to pick up this miner, which will also pick up the ore for us, which is super handy. We're going to get our carapace, and then we're going to slap down this miner. And what I like to do here is have the resources needed. We're out of concrete again. Spoiler alert, as soon as we set up the copper node, we're going to go up here and automate limestone as well. All right, with concrete in hand, we're coming back up here. We're going to put this miner down. We're going to put a smelter down, line him up here. We're going to move it a little farther away because there's a height difference there. And then we're going to put a constructor down right in front of this guy. We don't have the wire for the constructor. Making cables. All right, so with cables in hand, we're going to go ahead and toss this constructor out here in front of the smelter. And if we take from the smelter to the constructor, constructor's gonna be making, whoops, my bad, wires. The smelter's gonna be making copper, and we're just gonna hook these machines up. So I'd started to do this before I realized I didn't have the cable. We're gonna hook all 3 of these machines up to this power pole like before. So I'm gonna bring this out here with this power pole, and then I'm gonna hook it up here to this power line. And then one thing that I want to do is we've got kind of these different segments of power networks running right now. I want to hook them together so that they can kind of share power in case one segment is running higher or lower. And so I'm going to take and destroy these 2 lines coming from our other power poles. And what we're going to do is hook all of the different power lines up to this one pole, and then I'm gonna hook both of these generators up to this one pole. It's gonna give me all my power capacity on this one network. So, oh, we're using too much power is what we're doing. Well, it looks like it might be time to expand our power grid. So under power, we have these biomass generators, and you can see that these biomass generators generate 30 megawatts. And so we're gonna build one of these biomass generators. But I kind of want to put it out of the way because we are going to start building a factory here soon. And so I'm going to just put it kind of back here along this cliff face because we won't build any part of our factory back here, I don't think. So we're going to run this power from that biomass generator right up here as well. Now I'm going to put down a new pole right here. And what we're going to do is take this single constructor off of that shared pole and put it onto the new pole, and then connect the new pole to the other network. And now all 3 of my generators are running on the same network. And when I flip the breaker back on, it doesn't work because we forgot to put fuel into the biomass reactor. So let's go ahead and do that, and then turn it on. And so now you can see that our production, or our max capacity of power here, is at 50 megawatts. We're currently consuming 25, and the max that we've consumed was 43 at some point, it looks like. I'm not sure, but we've got quite a bit of headroom now to kind of keep going with the early game build here. So with that, it looks like our ship is back here and ready to go for another milestone. And so if we come in here, we don't have all of the materials on us, but we have had these factories producing additional materials for a while. So we're going to go around and just grab all of our spare materials here, which should put us in a spot to finish this objective off, and I believe that'll finish up tier 1. So with the items in hand, let's go ahead and knock out this last bit of research here. And this is gonna give us logistics. So with that unlocked, we have everything in tier 1 unlocked now, and we're gonna be able to start building our factory. And a last bit that I'm gonna do is we're gonna select this just to remind me next episode that I really want to get obstacle clearing unlocked, because that chainsaw is gonna come in handy when it comes to removing all these bushes and things so that they're not popping up through our factory floor. This has been a starting episode here, doing all of the basics to get up and running here in Satisfactory. Next episode, we're going to go into basic factory design for a tier 1 iron factory and get all the core iron items going through at 100% efficiency in a very simple factory build. We will be also intermixing with the Let's Play informative style that I'm doing here with formal one-off tutorial videos that kind of show how to do basic things, basic builds, different things like that in a very condensed format so that you don't have to watch through a 30-minute Let's Play video to figure out how to do things. Hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, drop a like and subscribe. That's all for today. Keterk